Hey everybody, and thank you so much for coming back to Runcl's YouTube page. My name is Barbara Harris, and I'm doing a new playlist on the YouTube page. In case you haven't seen the intro to this playlist, we're going to be doing a playlist based on, kind of things for newer anglers, beginners, kind of some tips and tricks, things that really will help newer anglers kind of get up and going. Because, when you make that decision to start fishing, it can be very overwhelming, and it's very exciting, but if you go about it the wrong way, it can also break the bank, be very intimidating. And so we're trying to kind of help take away those feelings. And so that's kind of what we're trying to help do. Although seasoned anglers very well could get, some good information from this as well, because we are going to be highlighting some Runkle products throughout the playlist too. And one of the reasons that I agreed to do this playlist for Runkle is because they are a company that caters to the everyday angler. They, they set their company up for the person who gets off work on a random Thursday evening and goes and fishes a buddy tournament, or the guy who goes and does the weekend warrior who goes and fishes a 2-day tournament a few weekends out of the year. And what I mean by that is that they are budgeted on their products to where you can have exceptionally good gear, good baits, good line, good reels, good terminal tackle. You can have really good gear without breaking the bank. So, that information is very good as well, because, Runkle is a fairly new company that is up and coming. And so I think they're going to be around for a very long time. I think they're going to make, it tough on some competitors once they get out, because, their products are very, very good. And if you make a superior product at lower prices, when people take notice, they're going to start transitioning, I guess you could say, like me. So I'm going to begin with, okay, you've made the decision that you want to start fishing. If you're in those beginning stages, I'm going to assume that you don't have a boat, because most people, when they start fishing, they don't go from, straight out of the decision and right into a brand new Phoenix. That would be great though. So we'll say that you're going to start out pond fishing, which actually I'm at a pond right now. But we'll say that you start out at a pond. And so you don't need to go and get a whole bunch of things, some people might go right into a kayak, but probably most people don't, because to get good kayaks, they're starting to hike up right now too. We just came out off of the ICAST 2021. All of those products are going to be hitting the market. And, there are some amazing things getting ready to hit and be available for us to purchase. But I just want you to keep one thing in mind. You do not have to have really expensive gear, or you don't have to have a boat to catch fish. I really, 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 really want to reiterate that. I'm sitting at a pond right now, and a pond just across the road is the pond that gave me my biggest fish last year and my biggest fish this year. And they're in a public park that is super pressured. And I mean, people, you know, there's a huge frisbee golf thing here. You'll probably see them whizzing by me here in a minute or hit me in the head. But frisbee golf is super popular here. People walking, running, bike trails, basketball courts. And so automatically people are drawn to also fish here. So they are super, super pressured. And you can still catch them. So please just remember that. Don't get disheartened because you can't, you know, because you can't go and get a boat. So let's get you started. One of the things that is easy to overlook once you have, you know, a rod or two, a reel or two, and some baits is to, oh, I want to go out and start fishing. But what's really easy to forget are some of the basics, and you don't think about it until you need it. And I'm being dead serious when I say this. One of the easiest things to forget is just a pair of scissors. And this will be one of your best friends, is a pair of pliers. And if you see this one's made by Runkle. I'm pretty sure it's under $20, but it's got these ergonomic grips right here that slices through braid like it ain't nothing. And then you got these little grips right here. It helps you to, like, if you want to tweak buzz baits, spinner baits, hooks, or crankbait bills. And then it's got that little point right there for the split rings, you know, so that you can put that in. It helps you to change for crankbaits. And a lot of, well, I don't want to say a lot, but some guys, you know, will use that side right there to put it in their belt loop. I don't do that. I put my scissors in right there, and then this is a an O-ring Wacky Rig Tool. I always have that. And then I'm not sure why I don't have it in there now, but then I also put in my chartreuse marker in there for chartreusing baits. So that. Another thing, as soon as, if you don't have it, or the first time that you forget it, you're gonna need it. And this all comes in the package. And it's the Runkle it's the Runkle scale. And this comes with it. The tools inside of it come with it, along with the battery to change that, because you got to unscrew that to put in the battery. It all comes with it. Mine's a little beat up. I've used it a little bit. So, like I said, as soon as you don't have it, you're going to catch you a big old fish and have to guess what the weight is. And then nobody will believe you because you won't have the picture on the scale. And also is a really good pair of glasses, polarized glasses. And you know, if a lot of people who fish, you might already have polarized glasses and, you know, not want to get another pair, which is fine. But when you have to replace them, check out the Runkle Billy glasses. Not only do they float, but they are just amazing. You have to go on and see the review that I did on my personal channel, which is Bass and Gal, or Bass and Gal Barbara on YouTube, to see the fish that I got underwater on the bed. It was a female with these glasses, because I was walking by, and had I not had on my glasses, I would have never seen her. But I actually took the glasses over top of her, and got her on film with the glasses. So that was pretty neat. But just, they're under $25. So just, you know, when you're in the need for another pair, I would definitely recommend them. So those are like the basics, you know, like just that covers you. But right now you don't have a reel and you don't have a rod or any baits. So I'm going to keep this specific to bass fishing for two reasons. Number one, it's the only kind of fishing I do. So that's kind of where any fishing knowledge that I do have, it's all in bass fishing. And number two, that's what Runkle specializes in, as far as their baits, their gear, their reels. It is towards bass fishing. So when I'm saying these things, just kind of keep that in mind, and you might have to adapt some of the things depending on what species it is that you want to target, because there's a lot of good species and fun species to go after. And if you live in you know, a place up north where you're bass fishing, I think you guys get a couple of months worth of bass fishing. So people up there, they ice fish, they go for walleye, they do a lot of other things. So you have to also address, you know, what's feasible for me to go after. Sorry, there's actually a deer right across the pond that's eaten, and we're getting ready to have a storm move in. And so that's why I was just like, you know, I'm gonna go make a video, and then I'm gonna try and catch me some big girls here before the storm gets here. Anyway, so you have to be realistic about the species that you can target, and what it is that you want to target, what'll be fun for you. But for me, that's all I do is bass fish. So, okay, now that we have that kind of laid, we're going to start with let me see, for rods, you can go to, you could go to Cabela's, Bass Pro, Academy Sports. There are so many places that you can go. You can go to social media and ask people, you know, to make recommendations. I mean, there are so many resources now that you can utilize to find out what it is that that you want to start at. Me personally, for the rods, I only use 6-gill fishing rods. That's what I like. That's what I use. And the reason that I'm using them is that they are the Runkle of the fishing rods. And they, you know, they have a lot of sales consistently going on, and that allowed me to really build my arsenal of really great gear that didn't break the bank. And so I got me a full line of their rods, which I love. So you could also check that out and see if they have any deals going on when you start looking. But I would recommend to have when you're learning, I would say 7'3" medium heavy is kind of like a universal rod. It's going to let you fish topwater, fish crankbaits, fish plastics, but it's going to be a versatile rod for you. So if you can only get one, that's what I would recommend. And if you can get two, that second one's really going to be a personal preference as to what it is, what technique you enjoy the most, or you feel that you're best at, or you want to capitalize on, you know. But I definitely recommend a 7'3" medium heavy for your first one, maybe even a 7 foot. And for Runcl's reels, let me tell you about these reels. I have never been more impressed with one of their specific reels as I was with one particular one I received. Let me show you this one first. This is the Runkle Merced, and right now I have this is a 7-to-1, and right now I have a VMC oh my goodness, I always forget the name of these. It's a VMC Rugby Jig Head, which allows you to have that jig head on the bottom, and you can fish Texas rigs in some places where you don't necessarily want a Texas rig. You kind of want that that like weedless presentation, but it's still kind of like a shaky head type presentation. But this Runkle Merced, I absolutely love this thing. I have it on, I think this is on 16-pound fluorocarbon by Runkle. We'll get into line in a second, but I absolutely love this Merced. It is smooth. It casts very, very well, and it fights a fish very, very well. I did have to fine-tune the drag on it in the very beginning. Like, it did take me a couple of trips out to get used to the drag system on it, because mine on my other reels were a little bit different. And then as soon as I honed in on it, absolutely love it. So that's one of them. And like I said, I mean, and the price point on this, I think this one is like under 40. Don't quote me on it, but I think this one is under 40. To have this quality for under 40 is amazing. But this one, I'll tell you what, I did a full review on this one on Bass and Gal Barber YouTube, and I'll tell you, I absolutely was shocked when I got this reel, and I tested it probably for 3 months, I think, before I even gave a review on it, because I wanted to put it through the ringer, because I think I was almost looking for a flaw, if that makes sense, because it's under $50 and it is so smooth. But it's the Runcl's Valet, if you see it. And I mean, it is just so sharp. I mean, it's got the Runcl logo on it. It's got the Born to Win tagline, the website. You know, it's got the secondary braking system, the tension, just everything. And it took me no time to hone in on this and to just, and I've used everything with it. I tested this with every technique, different bait sizes, and the one thing that the last thing I was waiting for on my review was, how does it stand up to a hook set? Because for me, I'm kind of known on the LBAA. Well, anybody that's fished with me, if you go up and ask them about my hook set, they'll just be like, oh yeah, you got to hear it. Because I put it on them. I mean, 5 ounces or 5 pounds, if it's 5 ounces, that's his bad. He's going over the boat. Because I'm not going to lose a fish because I didn't appropriately set the hook. And I wanted to catch a nice fish on this reel and see how it played with the fish, how it stood up to my hook set. And it did not at all. It didn't slip. The drag system did amazing with her. It was great. And this reel is under $50. So I did a full review on it if you want to check it out, to get where I got more into the specifics. Somebody's actually going to be receiving one that was a giveaway on TikTok, Runcl's TikTok. Or no, I'm sorry, it was the My Bassing Gal TikTok that was sponsored by Runcl. So I definitely highly recommend that reel. And if you like the reel and you can use it, you can get several of them for the price of one of other companies that I won't name, but it's an excellent reel, so I highly recommend it. And actually, I have that right now on my number 1 rod, and I have some really good expensive reels. I mean rods and reels. 2 other things. When, that storm's a-coming. When you start to gather baits and figure out what it is that you want to start throwing, I would always recommend starting with basics in general. Runcl has, and I don't have it with me right now, Runcl has an amazing Pop-R top water. I would always have one of those. A spinner bait and a square billed crankbait, and that way you're able to kind of fish each of the columns. And I'm going to go over these more in depth, but just in case somebody's sitting there like, oh, I want more information so I can do it now. These are kind of the starting points. So that allows you to cover each, you know, the popper is going to allow you to cover the top, and then the spinner bait is, you can kind of use it anywhere, and then the square bill, it should be bouncing off of wood, rocks, or something like that. And then when it comes to plastics, boy, it is really easy to get overwhelmed with plastics because, I mean, how many companies are there? Tons of companies, tons. And if you're on social media, you see independent people making baits all the time. And, you know, there are probably some great ones out there. I'm sure I haven't even seen a, you know, 1,000th of the ones that are out there. But to not overcomplicate it in the beginning, I would recommend starting with just a couple. And when it comes to baits in the beginning, one of my favorite, and it was in the top prior to this year, but this year it has been my go-to, and that is Runcl's Pro Bite Cinco style bait right here. And this is in the Cosmic Black, and that's the 5-inch. They have them in 4, 5, and 6. And one of the things that I love about this is that you can fish it in so many different ways. I cannot even wait to go over all things Cincos because honestly, like up until this year, I didn't even really realize how many different ways that you could fish it. So how many effective ways that you could fish it and learn to fish it, and I haven't mastered even half of them. So I'm anxious to keep learning how to use the Cinco. But one thing I will say about the Runkle Pro Bite Cincos, there's multiple companies that only sell like 8 in a bag, and they rip really quick. And with Runcles, you get 15 in a bag, and they actually allow you to catch a few fish per bait, unless the fish just rips it right off. So I just keep it in mind, because I refuse to pay for a name. I'm not going to pay something just because of the name on it. But that's just me. That's just me. Another thing that I think is pretty cool and has a good double use is they sell, for a couple of things that they have, what's called the anchor box. They have it for some of their plastics, they have it for some of their frog swim jigs, and what it is, and if you have problems picking the color, this is a really good idea. So this is some of their creature baits, and I love using these on as trailers for like moving baits, you know, like a vibrating jig, you know. So like this one, it's actually, I shorten it when I use it as a trailer, but that's one of them. But if you can't decide on the color, then you get multiple, you get 5 of each in here. And then when you start running out, you can use it for other things. See, I got like a crankbait in there, and then over here I have some swivels. So then you have something smaller that you can use it for. And I think that if you were to start right there. You could go out, and as long as it wasn't a bluebird, extremely hot, overwhelming, you know, high pressured system. If you started off with that, and let me mention line real quick. If you're new to fishing and not comfortable with bait casters, and that's what you want to start with, you can use monofilament because it will save you money and it doesn't overrun as much. And the difference between the mono and the fluoro is that mono floats. I mean, it's gonna sink, but it sinks a lot slower than fluorocarbon. Well, fluorocarbon, it sinks faster and it's harder for the fish to see it. If you're new though, you're gonna get more overruns if you're fishing that. So if you wanted to put the mono on that while you're practicing, you can also get a spinning rod and a spinning reel. And the spinning reels from Runkle are also really, really good. I don't fish spinning reels very much. I do have one. No, I have two. They're on the boat and they are in the rod box. Sometimes it just makes me feel better to say, oh, well, I've got them. But yeah, I don't fish them very much. And I need to change that. That's one of the things I need to change, is starting to use those more consistently, because right now is the time to be using them in Kentucky because the water temperature is about 90 degrees, literally. So, but with that being said, if you took this information and started to implement it, I do think that you would be able to start catching fish. And if you have any questions, just put it in the, you know, in the comment section and I'll keep an eye out. I'll try to answer them the best that I can. You know, so feel free to, you know, engage with us, ask us questions. You know, we're trying to develop a community of, you know, anglers that connect with each other and, you know, learn from one another. And, you know, like, I'm not even gonna sit here and say, hey, I know everything about fishing. Nope, I don't. You know, I absolutely 100% want to and love to share what I know. But I'm 100% comfortable in saying, I don't know everything. And if you ask me a question that I don't know, I'm comfortable telling you I have no idea, but I will try to help you find it. So, you know, if there's anything I can do to help, you know, just let me know. I'm here to help any way that I can. So thank you for hanging out with us. Hopefully you got some, you know, helpful information. I know this one is very basic, but next time we're going to start to get into more detailed information about actual fishing, assuming that you guys are actually going out fishing. If you have a specific video you want, let me know. Otherwise, we're gonna start talking catching fish. All right, guys, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and I hope you guys are catching them.